Oh yes, please do join me because this is the 2009 Pontiac G8 GXP model. And who do we have to thank for this opportunity? It is none other than Cary Imports in Cary, North Carolina, of course. So please do check out their site. I'm sure by the time this video is up, this thing would be sold. Another reason why I come here, you can purchase this car with a warranty. Now, okay, enough of that. Let's talk about it. The G8, baby. Finally got my hands on it. Many of you have been asking me to do the Chevy SS. This is the next best thing. It might even be better because me personally, I grew up loving the G8. I love the body style of this. I feel like this was the most criminally underrated cars growing up and even today, man. And this is the Mac Daddy. This is the GXP model, of course. Now, I will say this is the one with the 6-speed automatic, not the Tremec 6-speed manual. I'll talk more about that while we get out there on the road. But this car is a masterpiece, especially from the exterior. I mean, just look at this thing. It hasn't aged a bit, even after pretty much 11 years now, over a decade. This thing still looks incredible. This red paint job really sets it off. But I will say this particular model is about $25,000, got 82,000 miles on the odometer. It's a little rough around the edges, I'm not gonna lie. Like the passenger side mirror, that thing's kind of busted. It's a little cracked over there. Typical GM, you know what I'm saying, a little iffy quality things going on with the interior, of course. You know what I'm saying, the seat's kind of busted. It works, but you know, it's a little, yeah. You know what I'm saying? So aside from those small, minute things, okay, this car is such a treat, and I can't wait to get this thing out on the road. So let's just hurry up and do that. Enough of the small talk. Let's just get this out there because there's a lot to talk about with this car. So good luck finding one of these things in the used market. I was really excited when this dealership got this in. There were 3 different trim models associated with this particular vehicle, okay? So you got the base V6 model, which still looks amazing, but it's the same body style. But you also had the GT model as well as this GXP model. So the GT model did get you a 6-liter V8 engine. So pretty good. I think it had like 361 horsepower, 385 pounds-feet of torque. But this, got a little squirrely there, but always good fun. But anyway, this is the Mac Daddy, the GXP. This is the one everybody wants, but can't really find. LS3 motor, straight out of the vet, 6.2 liter V8 engine, produces 415 horsepower and about 415 pounds-feet of torque. So I've heard many different numbers, you know, 400 horsepower, 400 pounds-feet of torque, 403 horsepower, 403 pounds-feet of torque. I'm going to go with the 415 and 415 torques because it's the higher number, and that's what I heard most of, so there's that. And as you can tell, this thing sounds ridiculous, and I believe this is 100% stock. I don't think this has an aftermarket exhaust on or anything like that. This is all stock, baby, and these cars were nuts out of the factory, and that's what people don't really understand. It's not like the soybean cars of today. Dumbass quick, dude. This thing just shifts down effortlessly. I'm going to test more of that in a little bit, but yeah. The 6-speed automatic definitely doing its thing. Obviously, everybody wants the 6-speed manual. It was a Tremec. Tremec makes a fantastic manual transmission. Unfortunately, that's not what this is, but this automatic is doing a great job. Now, this thing is riding on 19-inch wheels. Chrome wheels, looks stunning, especially with the red paint job. This vehicle gets the upgraded suspension package, so a little bit firmer suspension, and it's also got the Brembo brakes as well. So that's what this vehicle gets as the GXP model. So this is the best handling, all that good stuff. But also I will say this thing, it's got the 19-inch wheels, but it's only got 245 wide tires up front and even in the back. I thought it might have like 275s or 285s in the rear, but it really doesn't. I guess that's why it gets a little squirrely in the rear end. So there is that. This is overkill for the streets. This is way too much. This is fast as hell, dude. Honestly, I feel like this makes more than 415 horsepower for sure. All gone to waste with, you know, jerk-offs like this next to me, but, you know, we'll fix that in a little bit. But this thing is very loud. It does drone a little bit. It's a pretty loud exhaust system, that's for sure. I like how these idiots, they do this thing where they just congest the road, basically. Like, both of them just drive right next to each other. They don't let anybody pass. It's pretty ridiculous. That's okay. That's what that motor is for. Brakes are doing a great job. Brings this thing to a stop immediately, of course. Steering is great. This thing is riding beautifully. I'm going to take this out on some more trash bumps here in a little bit, but I will say this thing feels great to drive, man. I'm going to test more of the handling, the bumpy roads here in a little bit, but I am just so impressed with the way that this thing handles, feels, all that good stuff. The steering feels super natural. It's like perfectly weighted. There's no stupid kind of sport modes or anything like that. Everybody wants me to put these things in sport mode. Totally not necessary. These things are built perfectly the way it is. If there's a button for it, if I have to, if it's shoved up my rear end, I don't know where it is, but like if you know where it is, Pontiac freaks, you tell me where it is. I don't really care where it is. It sounds incredible the way it is, but it's a little bit more droney. It's a little bit louder, but that's the charm, baby. I mean, this is a muscle car, dude. Like, none of the stupid 4-cylinder turds today sound like this, feel like this. This is so brawny, and what an experience to pilot this car, man. No wonder these things are so sought after, but it's only sought after it's gone, of course. I mean, GM wanted to sell 5,000 to 7,000 units of these things annually. They sold like literally half that or less. Because, all people do is talk. They don't really, buy these things, of course. Get up to stupid speeds in this thing. Get up to triple-digit speeds so freaking fast. This thing's got balls all the way through because it's naturally aspirated, of course. Phenomenal, man. Absolutely loving. This thing's a great cruiser too. Yeah, it drones the exhaust, but like the ride is just amazing, and everything else is pretty quiet. There's not a whole lot of weight noise or anything like that coming through. And no, this isn't like a straight up luxury car or anything like that, but GM always did a great job of nailing both the performance, handling, without compromising ride quality. This thing's only got like a strut-based suspension up front, McPherson's. I think it has like a 4 or 5 link design with the strut base, but like it's also got a 4-link design in the rear end. So not the most like unbelievable suspension geometry. However, they've always nailed handling and comfort. They've never sacrificed either, unlike BMW, which is, at least BMW of today, which just gives you ridiculous handling performance, of course, but they totally compromise the ride. So this one is great. Now, obviously, the Chevy SS also came after, and that was more so at the Holden Commodore, or whatever you want to call it. But me personally, I was always like a Pontiac guy. I've always liked this brand. Garrett and I, he works at Cary Imports here. We were talking about this. We're just so sad that Pontiac had to went away, because I love the design language that Pontiac had to bring to the table. So I love that. And I don't know, who knows, maybe they'll bring it back, kind of like how they did with the Hummers, something like that. Probably make it into an EV or something, some nonsense like that. It'll never be the same if they did bring it back, but whatever. And yeah, this is so much freaking horsepower though. I mean, at least the way the power comes on, it's so exhilarating. But I feel like the GT model would be good. At least it's still a V8. You can do your own little, modifications and all that. But the thing with the GXP was it already came loud and brash the way you kind of wanted it. So that's the beautiful thing. Only a slight hesitation from the, what I'm saying, transmission. And you do have a little manual gate thing here as well. Won't really bother with it, although it does react pretty freaking good though. I can make this thing go sideways anytime I want. I'm not going to, but like this thing is so easy to slide. I even have the traction control on right now, but you can slide this thing effortless, dude. This thing just keeps overriding the traction control all the time. Now I will say this car is 4,000 pounds, okay? That's the incredible part. I'm going to test more of that handling out here, but over all these bumps, it's handling itself great. It's about like 190 something inches long, so it's a good sized car. It's a mid-size sedan basically, and it's great for that. I love a heavy curb weight car. This thing feels pinned down, planted, high speeds. It's still extremely planted. I love the steering wheel too. I love the bulges on the sides here. It's a It's really amazing. I love gripping onto this thing. It's fantastic. It gives you a lot of confidence in this thing. This whole experience is confidence inspiring, you know, brakes, everything. You know, you can go nuts with this thing. I'm just not. All right, let's test out some of that handling here. See, like it just keeps going sideways like crazy. Bit of lean in the corners, of course, that's to be expected, but my gosh, dude, this thing is just nuts. This thing sticks to the road so well. It handles its weight, though. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, off the line, this thing isn't ridiculous. This thing is not fishtailing all over the place, fortunately. So it's not ridiculous, and when it does go off, it's so easy to correct for it. I just don't want to, you know, like blow up their tires or anything like that. This is just a great driving, confidence-inspiring car that you can catch anytime you want. It's not scary to drive at all. You know, all these like Corvettes, Camaros I've driven, high horsepower ones, like I drove the ZL1 Camaro here as well, and even though it would go off, like it was a lot of power, it was like 600 wheel horsepower, but the chassis was just so well sorted that it was so easy to, you know, bring it back. You know what I'm saying? It was a very easy car to drive. That's what I appreciate. It's one of the easier high horsepower cars that normal people get into and drive. Yeah, like I was mentioning before, you know, the GT is all you need, but everybody wants this, of course. The sense of speed in this thing is so exciting. This is a very exciting car to drive. I love it, man. I am in love with this car. Is it for everybody? Yeah, it should be for everybody. You have to get over the noise, though. It is kind of droney, the exhaust system. There's not so much of a muffler at the end there, so it's a kind of a dronier exhaust system, but like, you know, once you get over that, this thing is so much fun, man. Love it. I've always loved GM performance products. You know what I feel like killed this thing? I think it's the marketing, or the lack of marketing. Same thing with the Cadillac CTS products, man. They just don't get the love they deserve. Like, look at Dodge. Like, Dodge has an amazing marketing campaign. They sell like 100,000 Chargers, Challengers, all that crap, but these, they can't even move like 3,000-4,000 units a year. So I think it's got something to do with the marketing. You know, the SS obviously died too. That lasted a little bit longer. Well, it started a little bit later in life, but like that lasted till like 2017, something like that. Yeah, it's just such a shame that stuff like this has to die out. Very, very sad. And no, the exhaust doesn't have like crazy kind of, you know, backfires. It doesn't spit flames or anything. Well, not that I'm aware of, but like it's nothing like that. It's just a very loud exhaust system that really just amplifies the V8 sound effect. That's really all it is. It's not like these turbo 4-cylinder pieces of garbage that like they keep like doing this crackle pop thing. Nothing like that. This is just a brutish American, you know what I'm saying, sound. So I love it. I have no issues with that whatsoever. And naturally aspirated power, of course, for the win. You know what I'm saying? Hashtag that for sure. Steering weight is amazing. Steering feel, I like everything about it, man. Driving wise, this is great. And it rides fantastic over all the worst bumps and everything, man. This is just such a rewarding car to pilot. It's such a pleasure for me to drive this car. I love the Corvette of this generation, the C6. I was in love with that thing. And I was also in love with the Camaro ZL1, although that was a little bit newer, 2013. I've also driven the newer Vettes, of course, C7, C8s. Those are not as exciting to drive as these cars. Sure, they might be a little bit more capable, faster on a track, but this older generation, this previous generation GM performance lineup was my favorite to drive and experience out on the road. So it's definitely a gem. If you have the means, pick it up. I know this particular one is not in the best of shape. I don't think most of these cars will be, because interior quality control in general was always kind of trash with GMs. It's just something you had to live with. If you're a stickler for that whole thing, then it might be a turnoff for you. But let's go ahead. Let's talk about the interior now that we are part. So this Has the red exterior, of course, but it's also kind of got like this red interior going on here. Love it. I like the seats. I like the way they look. It's not the best kind of leather quality or anything like that. It's probably pleather. It held up really well, though. I'll give it that. The seats do still look pretty good, but it's not the highest quality anything here. I will say the seat, the driver's side kind of like seat mechanism thing is a little bit busted. It's kind of like loose. It kind of came off there a little bit, but it still works. You can still move it forward and back. But the recline thing doesn't really work because like the knob or whatever, it's like all messed up because they use like a knob. You got to twist that to, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Like I mentioned, I drove a CTS-V as well. I drove a lot of Chevy products here, a lot of Chevy performance products here at this dealership. Yeah, they all kind of have like this thing with the door handle where the kind of vinyl piece kind of comes off. So, you know, the interior is just not the best. Again, you don't buy it for the interior. You buy it for this driving experience as a whole, not just the V8, not just the sound. I'm talking about handling, ride, all this stuff. You can hoon it, man. You can hoon it for days. And I forgot to mention, these things come with a limited slip differential as standard for the GXP trims. I don't believe that's something that the GT models get. You might be able to get it as an option, but yeah, these things came with the standard. GT started at $31,000 when it first came out, and GXPs were about $37,000 when it first came out. So something to keep in mind. It's about $25,000 now. Also, you got to keep in mind, this thing came out like, you know, in the middle of a recession. So, you know what I'm saying? That probably also didn't help its cost, but whatever. Back to the interior. So you got some decent amount of storage space. Yes, there's a lot of plastics. I don't know what the hell this is, but it's like a table mat, like one of those cheap like 99-cent table mats that you can get at like Walmart. That's kind of what this material reminds me of. And you got these little speaker grills right here. You know what? The speaker system actually doesn't sound half bad, actually. It's not bad for what this is, especially for the time. It's got a lot of bass to it. It just kind of rattle a little bit, so it's one of those. But again, you don't buy it for any of these reasons. Again, like I mentioned on the drive, I love the steering wheel, dude. The steering wheel is fantastic. It's such a... I've never gripped onto a steering wheel like this before. It's got such pronounced 9-3 grips. Love it. It's just made for driving, man. It's just like... It took kind of what BMW used to do and just like kind of perfected it. Very strange thing to say, but it's true. It just lacks the refinement and the quality, but like, you know what I'm saying, it's fantastic. Anyway, moving on, you know, again, more of a plastic brick going on here, of course, in the middle here. I will say it does have some nice things, you know, heated seats for the front two seats here. You got your traction control button right there, you know what I'm saying? Even with the thing on, it still slides like crazy. I guess it's because of that limited slip diff. Love it. Key is a little bit jacked up. Love the gauge cluster here. I love that. That looks great. So legible, so easy to read. Shows you what you need. Fantastic. Got this little infotainment screen. It's not a touch screen at all. It works all jacked up. I don't really like the way it works, but I don't really like anything about the interior, actually. And also the climate control, it's got some nice knobs and buttons. However, it's very much, you got to look up at the screen. It's all connected to the screen. So if you're going to use the climate control, so you got to look at that, which is unfortunate. I don't like that it's both combined together. It's unfortunate, but whatever, it is what it is. I love the parking, like the handbrake in this thing. You've got a traditional handbrake, but it's kind of implemented with the center console here. Very interesting. I've never seen that before. So you got that. And traditional kind of gear lever knob doesn't really feel of quality, but yeah, this is the automatic. Love the way the automatic shifts and works. That's great. And I will say you do have a manual control here as well, and it actually does work decently well. Will downshift pretty nicely, so I do like that. Two tiny little cup holders here. You got your window switches. It's not one touch up and down windows, and like I mentioned, no double pane glass or anything like that. This is not a luxury car. Got a bit of space inside the center armrest here, although it's kind of like spongy. I don't know really how to explain it, but you have a lot of space in the glove box though, so you do have that. Surprised to see that you do have a sunroof in this vehicle. I thought they would kind of get rid of that for a GXP to kind of give it more rigidity in the chassis, but this thing does have a sunroof. So if you like sunroofs, well, you got one there. Visibility isn't exactly the best because the side view mirrors aren't really that large, but they get the job done. I can drive this car effortlessly. I mean, you just kind of drive away from your blind spots, right? But fortunately, the rest of the glass is pretty good in here. To let you look around at this vehicle, it's pretty nice. Okay, talking about the rear seat. So this might be a mid-size car, but I swear to you, this thing has so much space in it, man. You know, it's not a Garrett. Garrett was telling me that the Chargers are winning because it's a full-size sedan, like bigger people can fit in it. Dude, I don't have an issue fitting in this car. I'm 5'11". Obviously, he's talking about like 6'6" individuals. I don't know, dude. The Charger, to me, didn't really have that much space, especially in the rear. I don't know. I feel like this has more space in the rear seats than the Charger does. That's just me, though. I don't know. I feel like it's close, but I feel like this has way more space, man. This is like flagship levels of rear seating space, so that's just nuts to me. And you do have HVAC back there. You got a little cup holder setup as well. Seats are really comfortable. Forgot to mention that both in the front seats and the rear seats. That's really non-fatiguing. Kind of slide about a little bit, but it's got a little bit of bolstering effect as well, so it's not too bad. I do like the seats. GM seats have always been pretty decent for that reasons. Trunk is massive, huge trunk back there. You know, practicality is pretty high in this. Obviously, it's a rear-wheel drive vehicle, so it's not all-weather friendly, but I'm saying, like, you know, space-wise, it's pretty good in here. And the trunk is great. There's no spare tire, just like this kind of fix-a-flat thing back there, so that's about it. But yeah, man, that's my look at the 2009 Pontiac G8 GXP. So very special car. Really appreciate Cary Imports for letting me check out this vehicle. GM products to me, especially of this era, have been great. If it's one of your first high performance cars, you can really hoon this thing, not be scared of it, slide it around, look like a champ. It's one of those. So you look like a hero driving one. You can have some fun with it safely, I think, for the most part. Obviously, if you go stupid with it, you can spin out with it, but like, I think this is great, man. It's definitely not a super intimidating experience, but it is very fast, very quick, and I do like driving it. So if you're an owner of this particular vehicle, please do let me know in the comment section below. If you're fortunate enough to have this thing, aside from the interior quirks and quality issues, let me know how you like this thing. How do you like driving it? How is it held up for you? Please do let me know. And with that, I will see you guys at the next video here that I'm going to show up at the end screen. So I'll see you there. Bye.